Welcome into another Whoosh Weekly Roundup with me, Louie, where I go over what books I picked up from my local comic shop this week. So, we can dive straight in, but remember, if you're liking and enjoying this content, to like, comment, and subscribe. It goes a long way, I guess, with helping get the videos out further into YouTube, so any of those would be appreciated, especially if you're enjoying the content. But let's dive into this week's books. So, a little context, I guess, is that I've been trying to cut back on buying a lot of variants of books. A lot of the modern industry seems to be very much dependent on selling a lot of variants, a lot of incentive variants, so like 1 in 10s, 1 in 15s, 1 in 25s. And I used to buy a lot of them, especially with the Star Wars. I'd buy a lot of the variants, almost all of them every week, like within like the normal variants, and maybe sometimes the incentives like the 1 in 10s, which are more affordable. But I tried to cut back a lot on it, quite a bit. However, this week there are 2 examples where I did buy multiple copies of a book because I really liked the covers. Part of it was because I wanted to read it, and then I wanted a nice copy, and then the other one I just really liked both covers. So I say that because the first book I'm going to show everyone is actually one of those that I picked up variants of, and it is Dark Souls, The Willow King #1 from Titan Comics. And I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I will say the reason I picked it up is I wanted to read this copy because it does look really interesting, but I thought this cover was really amazing, so I wanted to pick up one of each. This one I'll probably end up just keeping bagged and boarded, and maybe if it turns into something, grading it for a wall book down the line. And then I'm going to definitely read this one, so we'll see how that goes. I definitely broke my own rule, and I definitely got 2 copies instead of only getting 1, but it seemed like it was worth it. Like, this cover is really awesome, and when you see the bigger art, you'll understand it's just a really cool looking cover. So I'm very excited to dive into that. The next book I picked up is Venom #30. This is part of the newer Venom run that followed the King in Black storyline that I really love. But as you can see on the cover, there's a lot going on with the different symbiotes and stuff like that, and I've been trying to get more into them lately, so I'm really excited to see how that goes with this storyline. Yeah, I don't know, kind of drew me in with all the symbiotes, and we'll see how it goes from there. So haven't had a chance to read it, but very excited. Next up is Obi-Wan Kenobi #5. Obviously, I think I've explained this before, but I'll do it again for anybody who's new to the channel. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series, the Mandalorian series in the comics are taken episode by episode from the series that was on Disney+. So this coincides with episode 5 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that was on there. So anybody you saw that debuted in there, or anything that happened in there, you'll see happen in this book as well. They're really good adaptations, having read most of the Mandalorian one. I say most because I finished all of season 1 and I'm partially into season 2. They're really good. I really enjoy them, especially if like you don't want to necessarily go back and watch the episodes again, but you want to kind of catch yourself up again. They're fantastic for that. So yeah, really excited that they're doing the Kenobi series. Very stoked. So the next book is actually another one of those ones where I broke my own rule on variants, because I just thought they were really cool. And I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I did the other one. So here is Mace Windu #1, and this one is the cover A. So this is your normal trade cover for Mace Windu #1. Pretty cool, actually. You can definitely tell they're still kind of going for the Samuel L. Jackson look. It looks a lot younger, and based on the story, definitely a lot younger Mace than what we had before. But really cool. I did have a chance to read this story, and it was really good. But before I dive into that, let me show you the other book I picked up, the other copy of the book I picked up. I picked up Mace Windu #1, but this one is the Black History Month variant, because I thought this cover was really badass, to be honest with you. And it's actually drawn by, I follow him on Instagram, and I'm not really sure how to say it. Lead Killer or LED Killer. I think it's Lead Killer, but really great artist. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you should check him out. But this cover blew me away, and I was like, okay, cool. this is one to break my rule for and get 2 different copies of the book for. So very, very stoked. Now on the story itself, so it's definitely a younger Mace. You do see a familiar face in the fact that Yoda is also in issue 1. And he starts off with an underwater prison with some rogue droids, and then it's one of those, like, they have to go kind of rescue somebody who asked the Jedi for help type of storylines. It feels like a slow build to a story, if that makes any sense. I wasn't blown away by issue 1. I'll definitely keep reading it, especially because part of the reason Bounty Hunters was sunset as an ongoing series for Star Wars was the creative team was being shifted over to Mace Windu. So I'm definitely going to give it a shot because I liked Bounty Hunters, so the creative team there has that little bit of leeway with me. But we'll see. We will definitely see. But I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot, keep following it, and I'll keep giving updates as I'm reading it. So we'll go from there, I guess. The next book is Wolverine Madripoor Nights #1, and this actually follows up on, I believe it's X-Men 268, that iconic cover that has Cap, Black Widow, and Wolverine on it that goes into the history of the 3 of them during World War II, where they actually all originally met in the first place. So this picks up after that. It actually does. If you have never read that, that's totally fine. You get a little bit of a recap in this book for it anyway, which is great. It's a good way to get people interested in a story. Maybe they'll go back and pick up the old issue. If not, you can at least introduce them to it and get them to read this book. This was a very interesting read. I enjoyed it. It's definitely got a younger Jubilee in it. It's got a Psylocke in it. So it was cool. The Hand is on the cover here. So it was cool to see all of them kind of fight the Hand. But it was a really, really good read. So if you're looking for a fun kind of X-Men story, especially because my next book is not, it's still kind of on the depressing downslide of Fall of the House of X, but this is a fun X-Men related book you can pick up this week and read and actually enjoy. So definitely highly recommend that. This next book was, honestly, if it wasn't for sentimental reasons that edged over my pick of the week, this probably would have been my pick of the week. And that is X-Men 31. And again, this is part of the Fall of the House of X storyline, and this picks up after everything that happened last time, where Talon dies in battle, and Cinch is trying to hold on to her using Jean Grey's mental powers to keep her brain in her mental self inside of him, so that way they can find a way to bring her back. And for anyone who doesn't know, Talon is X-23. So if you haven't kept up with that, that's X-23's new code name is Talon, and her and Cinch are a thing. So he's trying to hold on to her, and then in this one you see how him trying to hold on to her is actually causing him to become physically drained, sick, and not be able to heal himself either, because he has to be near a mutant to draw on their power, or be close to them to do it, and he's drawing on Jean Grey's power, who's no longer here because she passed away during the Hellfire Gala, and so it's kind of all draining him, and he can't heal himself, and it's a really, really good story. And obviously Nimrod shows up to try to do some stuff too. So get into the Fall of the House of X storyline if you're looking for a great X-Men storyline that's not necessarily going to be the most uplifting thing. I will warn everyone of that now. Not the most uplifting storyline, but it's really, really good, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And sometimes it's hard to get into the X-Men for me. Sometimes it's actually even hard to get into the Avengers for me, because they're such overpowered characters, and it's hard to want to root for them sometimes. But for this, it's not your traditional X-Men for the most part. Yes, there's like Nightcrawler in it, and Wolverine, but I don't know, it's different. It feels different for me to read this one. So I'm enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying the Fall of the House of X, and I think issue 2 comes out next week in the direct Fall of the House of X storyline, so I'm actually really, really excited to pick that up as well. But yeah, go out of your way if you're looking for a good storyline to get you through the winter to follow, and pick up the Fall of the House of X and maybe some of its tie-ins like the X-Men books themselves. They're really, really good. Now, I know I've gone on for a bit there on that one, and that's why I said if it wasn't for sentimental reasons edging out that book, it would have been my pick of the week. But my pick of the week goes to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return. And if you follow Whoosh on Instagram, you'll actually see, I believe it's at Whoosh C&R, you'll actually see that I shared a picture of myself with Amy Jo Johnson from Rhode Island Comic Con in 2023, where she was pushing that she was writing this book right here. And this is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return #1. This is a 4-part miniseries set in an alternate reality of the Power Rangers where the Rangers defeat Rita and Lord Zed, and then they retire, and they go on to live some normal lives. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's definitely more an adult-centric storyline, which is great. I know in real life we've lost Jason David Frank, and I think it's Thuy Trang. It's Trini. She passed away as well. So in the comic books, they in this comic, and actually honestly, in the Power Rangers 30th anniversary, they at least address Trini passing away in real life. Based on timing, they probably didn't have a chance to address Jason David Frank passing away. But Tommy is also deceased in this book. So it's a heavier Power Ranger story. They're obviously leaning more into the adult stuff anyway in the Boom Studios comics. But it's definitely something that's going to take a little bit of getting used to for the Power Rangers. It's a different world. Just a small spoiler because I don't want to spoil too much in this book, honestly. But Zach is the only Power Ranger to have come out and announced to the world that he was a Power Ranger at the time. So he is well known within this book, and you'll see it in here that he's a celebrity for being the Black Ranger. And it's a key part of kind of the story, sort of. So definitely check it out. But that also means that you don't have Rocky, you don't have Aisha, you don't have Adam, and you don't have I believe it's Kat. So you don't have those 4 ever join the Power Rangers because they defeat Rita and Lord Zed before then, and it doesn't carry over into like Zeo or Turbo or Space or any of that stuff. So it literally is like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers win, and then that's it for evil in the universe. Like there's no more, there's nothing that follows it. It's just they go on from there. And it's all a story about centered around trying to find Jason, who is now gone missing. So it's a really, really good read. I'm really, really excited, and they did have a Kickstarter up for it where you could pre-order either the single issues, you could pre-order the collected edition to come out, and I did the collected edition tier that came with the hardcover of this, the hardcover of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink, which is an earlier Boom series they came out with, and then because of where it pledged and where they got to on the stretch goals, it also came with some prints for some of the covers they've come out with related to the Pink Ranger and the Ranger Slayer. It came with a print for like a 11x17 print for some of the Kickstarter exclusive variant covers they had for it, which are really, really cool. It's all the Rangers with their Zords. So it was really, really cool. I don't believe it's still available right now, but I will say that if you're going to wait for this to come out in a collected edition, the expected ship date for my order is between October and November. So if you want to read it before then, single issues, either actual physical issues or going on Comixology and getting a digital version of it. So yeah, that is my pick of the week. Don't forget, if you are enjoying this, I know I don't want to harp on it, but it does help with YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more of these type of things, just let me know by leaving a comment, liking this video, and then subscribing to the channel, and I'll be happy to keep producing these. So until then, we'll catch you next time. Thanks!